Can Dubai regain its promise as a thriving financial hub? Joining us now is Ansari. He's the CEO of Shuaa Capital, the largest investment bank in the UAE. Thank you very much indeed for coming to speak to us. Good to see you again. Just want to pick up on something we were discussing a little bit earlier there. What are your expectations in terms of restructuring that we might see further down the line, companies in the region?
Right. Well, I think a lot of progress has been made in the last 12 months, and we're definitely at a better position today than we were 12 months ago. Most of the restructurings that remain to happen in the UAE, especially in Dubai, are of a much smaller magnitude than what we've seen so far. So, I believe they're manageable. The numbers are much more manageable. And more importantly, risk appetite and the appetite of investors to buy into whether it's government debt or Dubai corporate debt has come back and come back very well. So that's always a very important element, of course.
I've been traveling in the region a little bit since I've been here. I was in Abu Dhabi very recently, and it seems to me that everyone knows that investors are very much focused on what's happening in the periphery of Europe, in the US, and some people were saying that events in international markets are actually encouraging investors to look to the Gulf. Others say, actually, no, we've gone from risk on to risk off in developing markets. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think that there are tremendous opportunities in this region, and those fundamentals will eventually drive investors to this region. The problem today is that the regional investors are still too pessimistic and too negative, overly so, unfortunately, whereas international investors are actually beginning to take notice of what's happening in the region. And I'll give you some examples. I mean, the Shuaa stock is a perfect example of what is happening with respect to valuations and investor interest. We're trading at a 30% discount to book value. We've spent the year, fixing the balance sheet, strategy, adjusting to the new normal, as I call it. And a lot of that is happening in the rest of the UAE. Most of the stocks in the UAE are trading at a significant discount to book, whereas the price to earnings is very low. By every standard benchmark statistic, these markets are extremely undervalued.
But trading volumes are very low right now, aren't they? We were speaking earlier in the show about Axiom. They recently abandoned their plans for an IPO. How much of a setback is that for the markets here? It doesn't show a great deal of investor confidence in the conditions right now.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it was the regional investors who were pessimistic and negative, and the interest was mainly from international investors who bought into the story, who saw a great company with fantastic management, great fundamentals, and a pretty low valuation. But it was because of the lack of regional interest and the low volumes and liquidity in the regional markets that management then decided to pull back, which was disappointing.
It's very interesting that you say that regional investors are more pessimistic than foreign investors. I mean, everyone has a view on this, and there was, in the wake of Dubai World and the tumultuous events of last year, the debt crisis, foreign lenders have been putting increasing pressure on companies in this part of the world and sovereign-related entities, you might say, to be more transparent. Is there evidence of this happening that will give investors more confidence to come here?
We through our research department, we cover a significant portion of companies, public companies in this part of the world, and we see a clear move to stronger governance, better transparency, and understanding of what investors really want. And this doesn't happen overnight, but it's certainly moving in the right direction.
Ansari, Chairman and CEO of Shuaa Capital, great to talk to you. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.